What is going on, guys, and welcome back to the second part of my recording and rendering videos that I'm showing you guys how I render out and record my videos. This isn't how everyone does it, this is just how I do it and get the quality that I get. The first part was how I use fraps and stuff and the settings that I use, and this part is what I use for rendering. Now I was going to do it in two parts because I used to use Sony Vegas, but I moved over to a different rendering software now, so I thought I might as well just show you the one that I use now because I personally feel like it's better than the one I used before. But the program that I use is called Adobe Premiere, which you can see here, and I'll click on that and open that up. Now this is Adobe Premiere CS 5.5. I think there is CS6 out now, which I pretty much think is the same. So even if you did get CS6, you could pretty much do everything which I'm going to show you now, so don't let that put you off. But when you get Adobe Premiere, you'll see this screen and it's going to look pretty similar to this, and as you can see I've got some recent projects there that I've did before, like my Herobrine Mansion and my Let's Play episodes, but don't worry about them. What we're going to do now, we're going to go to new project. So when you get to this screen, you want to click on new project, and then you're going to get a little screen like this. Now this screen I don't really know much about, to be honest. All the settings that I'm going to show you guys are settings that I've researched myself. I don't know what they do specifically, so I can't explain them. Just make sure all your settings are the same as my settings if you want to do it the same way that I do it. But yeah, just make sure all these are the same display format. They both say audio format, display format, capture, HDV. But this part here is quite important. This is where you want to save your project file so you can edit it again later if you don't want to render it out straight away. So if you just click browse, select a folder, as you can see, like mine's saved there in my Minecraft LP folder, select there, and this is what you want to call it. So let's just say render video. There we go, and then you click OK, and then it'll take you to this next screen if it loads up. Now this screen here, guys, is pretty important. This is the file format which we're going to select for our video. Now once I installed this before, I did a trial version, and with the trial version you don't get as many formats here down the left hand side. So if you don't have exactly what I have there, then you probably have the trial version and you need to go and get the full version. But if you have everything that I have there on the left hand side, you're good to go. Now we're not going to select any one of these formats here. We're going to create our own preset, which I think is better. It's pretty much the same as HDV 720p 30 right there, so you could use that if you just being lazy and want to be really quick with it. So you could use that. I've tested that before and it's worked fine. I didn't have any problem, so you could just use that one there. Like click on that, press OK. But what we're going to do, we're going to create our own ones because I've got my own presets right there. I usually use that one. That one messed up a little bit, so I changed to this one, but I've gone back to that one again. But what you want to do, you want to go to settings right there, and you want to make sure all your settings on this tab here are the same as mine. So editing mode will be HDV 720p. So you want to make sure that is that, and time base will be 29.97 frames per second. Video frame size, I don't think you can change that if you select HDV, so that should be 720p with 16:9 ratio. Then a square pixel of 1.0, display format 30 frames per second, audio sample rate 48,000. Oh, is that 480,000? Display format, audio samples, video previews, yep, that should just be 720p. You don't need to check any of these, yeah. And then basically what you do, you save your preset, call it YouTube video or whatever like I did, and then you just click OK. But I'm just going to go back to my preset here, which is basically just everything I just described to you. You can actually see it there actually. So yeah, so save your preset, select that, and then click OK. And then you'll get brought up into this screen. Now this is the screen. It might look a bit like, well, what do I do? Well, I was a bit overwhelmed at first, but it is really easy to use. So first thing you want to do, you want to go and get your recording, which you recorded with fraps earlier, and now I've got my one here. That's my recording which I'm doing now, so that's being saved. Now this one here is a recording that I did before, and now what you want to do, you want to drag it into this box here on the left hand side. Anything you want to put in your video, it has to go in this left hand side box first. So if I minimize that, you can see like it's importing my files, and now my video is there. Now to put that video on my timeline, I just drag that and put it here. Now there's a few simple controls on this timeline which you may need to figure out, and you've got this top bar here. Now this top bar, if I click on this area here and drag it left and right, it will zoom in. So that's zooming in, and then zoom out. So I want to zoom out so I can see the whole clip, and I just want to move it along. And now this second bar here, this is a very important bar. This bar basically, basically whatever it's selected is what it's going to render out. So as you can see, I've got the start of my clip there and the end of my clip there. That's going to render my whole clip. Now if this was like over this end bit here, it's going to render my clip and some extra stuff on the end that I don't need, so it's just going to be a black screen. So I don't want that. I want to make sure it's always at the end of my clip and at the start of my clip. Now this clip is too big, so I want to cut it down. Most people usually do edit their videos and cut it down. Now there's a few controls that you may need to know about Premiere, and one of them is being C, and the C button on your keyboard. Now if I press C, look at my mouse right now, it's going to change. Once I press C, I'm going to press it now, and it changed to this little icon here. This basically means I'm going to cut my video now. So I've pressed C, changed it to this, and now wherever I want to cut, I click. Now I'm going to cut near this red line here, so I'm going to cut right there, and it's cut this little section here, and I don't want this section anymore. So to change it back, I'm going to press V, and it will change my mouse back to that. Then I click on this section here, and I just press delete. So now I've cut my video, but as you can see, this little bar up here is way too big for my little video, because what that will do now will basically render out that clip, but then render a ton of black screen right there. So what I want to do is bring that back down and make sure it's at the end of my little clip. So as you can see now, my little clip is what, 6 minutes. I want it to be a bit shorter than that, so I'll cut it again. I'll cut it to about there, and then delete that, and then put that back down to the end of my clip. I want to zoom in a little bit because I'm too far away. So there we go. There's my little clip right there. So if I want to add like an intro, I should have muted that a bit. If I want to add like a little intro into that, I'll go and grab my intro from somewhere. So let me grab my intro. I can't remember where I saved it. Here it is. Intro is here. So I want to put that in there. So there we go. I've got my intro. It has to drag it into this left box here first. Then I drag it onto my timeline. Put it there. As you can see, it's outside of that little space. So I need to put it in that space there. Now if I want to add like a little transition on it, like a fade or something, on this left hand side over here we've got an effects tab, so we need to click that, and we click like video effects. You've got loads. None of them we're going to use. It's video transitions we want to use for fading. And I use one called film dissolve because I think it's the best one, and I just drag it in between them two clips. It's going to say insufficient thingies, whatever. It always does that because I think my intro is really small. So yeah, but it's worked. If I play this, it should fade. So let's see. There we go. It faded in, and that's cool. Now if you cut your video like in the middle of the video somewhere and you want to fade it, same principle as what we did there. So let's say I cut the video right here, and then I cut it there again, and I want to delete that middle section, and I want to bring that over. There's going to be a jump if I play this bit now. So let's watch this back, see if there's going to be a jump. There you go, it jumped. So what I want to do, I'll shrink this back down. I want to make that a smooth transition, so I don't want it to like just jump from one screen to another. I'll just put the film dissolve in the middle there, and now that should fade. So let's see. Oh, did that work? Yeah, it faded. Yeah. There you go. See, it was nice and smooth. So basically, once you've done editing your video, done everything you wanted to do, put text on it, cut bits out, whatever you've done. Once you've finished, you need to make sure it's selected from the start and the end of the clip with this little bar here, and then you want to go to File, Export, Media. Now this part here, guys, is probably one of the most important part. This is what's going to determine how big your video is, how long it's going to take to upload, what quality it is, all that stuff. So this is like the most important part. Now I don't have a very good internet connection, so I go for the minimum I can do, so it doesn't take me forever to upload. But if you've got a pretty good internet connection, I'd recommend do like one up on everything that I do, make it a bit more better quality. Now what you want to do is copy everything that I've got here. Now a lot of these things we're not going to use, so just make sure everything's the same. Right, the first part we're going to do is the format, and the format we're going to use is called H.264. Basically what that is an MP4 format, and it's the best for like compression and quality. So it compresses the video the smallest but still maintaining its quality. That's the best way I can describe it, but I've done research on it, and that's apparently the best format to render your video in, so make sure that's the same. Custom should be custom because we created our preset at the start. If you click output name here, so if I click on this is where I'm going to save it and what I'm going to call it. So if I call it render video, that should be cool. So save that, and as you can see, it's going to save as render video.mp4. You don't need to check, make sure these boxes are checked here. You don't need to change anything in them checked areas there. Make sure that's all fine. I don't think you need to change anything. None of these tabs we're going to use, so we're going to make sure we're on the video tab, we're going to scroll down, and you want to make sure everything is the same here. So the codec is the H.264, TV standard is the NTSC, frame width is 1280, and then frame height is 720. The frame rate, I always use 30, but you can use 29.97. Field order needs to be non-progressive. Pixel aspect ratio needs to be 16:9 widescreen. The profile needs to be main, and the level needs to be 3.2. Now, the bitrate. Bitrate is what's going to determine how big your video size is. Now look, if I drag this right up here, you can see my video size there goes to 284 megabytes. But if I bring it all the way down here, it's going to only be 5 megabytes. Now, what I think is acceptable for a Minecraft video is 3.5 minimum. You don't want to do any bigger, any less than 3.5. I think it'll be bad quality. I've done some videos in 3.5 and they're okay, they're not the best, but I think that is acceptable. This is only if you haven't got a very good internet connection. If you've got an internet connection, I'd recommend doing like 5 or 6 bit rate, just so you got really good quality. But my internet connection is not very good, so I usually render around 4. You need to make sure this bit here is on CBR, which is a constant bit rate. But yeah, I would recommend doing it around 4, 5 or 6, depending on your internet connection. If it takes you long to upload videos, do it around 3.54. If you're lucky and you've got a really good internet connection, do 5 or 6, because that's what I would do if I had a good internet connection. But yeah, other than that, you don't check any of these boxes. Use them all the same as what I've got there, like use maximum render quality, just everything exactly the same as which I've got. Then you just click export, and then that will start rendering. Now, rendering on Premiere is really good, I think. Like if you've got a 20-minute video, it usually takes about 10 minutes to render. It's like half the time. I don't know why it's like that, where like Sony Vegas, it actually takes, like if you've got an hour video, it'll take an hour to render. It's like that. But I'm not going to render this out now, guys, because there's no point. But yeah, you click export and it will save it where you want to save it, guys. I hope that was clear enough for you. I hope that helps you guys out if you want to start doing videos. Let me know if you have any questions, and yeah, I hope it was helpful, guys, and I will see you again in another video.